Hey everybody, I am Marietta Paxson here with Little Dreamers. I am sorry about my voice. I'm sick. I'm like praying that you can hear me okay. I have a throat lozenge in because I thought, oh, maybe that'll make it so I don't cough, but I don't know, maybe it'll make it so you can't hear me. I don't know. Anyways, I had to jump on early because we've got crazy schedules, crazy stuff going on. So obviously you can come back and watch this whenever you want. So I figured even if you were planning on jumping on at 8 to watch me live, you can jump on at 8 and you can watch the video. So sorry to throw that loop in there for you. Let's go ahead and get started. I have 30 minutes today, so we're going to get as far as I can through questions. I'm going to read them in the order that they were submitted. If we get through them, great. And if I don't get to yours, then you're always welcome to submit a question next week. You're also welcome to contact me, and we can set up a one-on-one consultation. I have time before the holidays to do that. I have time after the holidays, so keep that in mind. And you're welcome to message me on Facebook. You can email me. I think my email's on my website and on my Facebook page, and you're welcome to shoot me a text message or call me. Though that one's a little hit or miss if you call me because it's hard. You guys know. You're moms. You get it. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump in. This one comes from Catherine Gardner. And for some reason, Catherine, your whole name didn't come over on this. I only half of your last name, so I'm hoping that it's Gardner. It actually might not be. Okay, Catherine Gardner. She has a 6.5-month-old. The max he's woken up during the night is probably 68 times, which is a lot. That was at the very beginning. Okay, now he's older, he's doing better since we started solids about a month ago. See, my voice is awful, guys, I'm sorry. He sleeps longer, and if he wakes up around 4 or 5, I will nurse him. But if he wakes up before that, I don't nurse him. Yeah, and I might actually, so your question later is how can I help him sleep longer in the morning? So if your child's feeding once a night, it doesn't necessarily mean they have to nurse in the early morning. They just need to nurse one time. So if they're on a one nursing schedule, just don't feed them before 2 a.m. And then they'll go as long as they need to. That'll take them till at least 6, which is a normal wake time. We'll talk about that a little bit more. So that's what I would adjust that. And I actually don't feed my babies after 5 a.m. because it's too light of a sleep cycle. And so the feeding will just turn into a habit and they'll need that in the early morning to sleep. So that's the first thing that I would adjust for you. He falls asleep in bed by himself, but not for naps. Okay, so he is waking up too early, in your opinion, often around 6 a.m. So 6 to 8 a.m. is a normal wake-up time, and sometimes you can do things to shift that a little bit later. But in order to do that, it can take a lot of time, and it can take some really specific approaches. Like I said, you can try feeding him earlier. We'll also talk about bedtime is 8 p.m. You could try putting him to bed earlier, and that may help him. But my bet is that he's going to continue to wake up early in the morning. Either one, because he's a morning person, or two, because he's used to being very full in the early morning. So if he wakes up earlier than 4, I would feed him then and not later. And when we move bedtime earlier, that can help a child sleep in longer in the morning. And then your second question was, how can I help him fall asleep by himself for naps like he does at bedtime? You can do the same routine that you do at bedtime, but just do it for nap time. And the biggest factor of a baby resisting naps is going down for a nap too late. So make sure he's on a good 6-month schedule. If he's on 2 naps or 3 naps, just make sure it's a really good schedule so that he's not getting overtired and resisting that nap. You want to put him down about 15 minutes before you want him to be asleep. So he should be happy and alert and no tired signs. And he should be going down by the clock, but I just wonder if he's not getting enough sleep because of the early morning wake-ups and because he's resisting naps. So, okay, Mandy Crouch. Again, I'm sorry, you guys, for my poor voice. Okay, Mandy has I kind of feel like a boy who's going through puberty because my voice is squeaking. Don't tell any of your teenage boys that I said that. Okay. She's 11-month-old. He's not going to sleep since he's tiny. He still wakes up every 4 hours. Bedtime is at 7:30. And you wake him up to go to daycare at 4:30, but sometimes he wakes, or 5:30, excuse me, but sometimes he wakes up at 4 and doesn't go back to sleep. So you have a first nap around, so I'm going to assume wake up time is 5:30, where I was going to assume even if he wakes up earlier than that, we treat the 5:30 a.m. wake up as his normal wake up. And then the first nap is around 8:30 or 9. He sleeps for a half an hour, sometimes 2 hours. And the second nap is around 2. I would move that nap a little bit earlier because his whole day starts early. And then I would move that nap earlier, maybe closer to like 1:30. He also has a binky in bed only. Okay, Mandy, so he's not sleep trained. So he's not going to sleep well until he learns how to sleep on his own. Now, sometimes at this age they can keep their binky, but I'd have to do an in-depth consultation to see if that's what I'd recommend for him. So, yeah, so go onto my blog, and there's an article called Frequently Asked Questions of Sleep Training, and it kind of outlines what it is. I worry about this binky, and then I also worry about his sleep schedule. I think that he might not be getting enough sleep. If he's waking up at 5:30, then he probably needs an earlier bedtime. And he needs that second nap to be earlier as well, so those things should help. Now, for your 3-year-old, Mandy, I really don't have enough information. I've already read your question. She's got a 3-year-old that wakes up 5:30, sometimes will sleep till 7, nap from 1:30 to 2:30, and then bed around 7:30, but he's up around 8:30 to 9. That tells me he's overtired, so he's not getting enough sleep, I would assume. And he wakes 2 to 3 times a night and comes in to sleep by me. So I don't quite have enough information. I don't know how he's falling asleep. I don't know. Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know. So again, I would focus on his schedule and see if that will help him. Put him to bed earlier and see if that will help him sleep in. And if you're okay with him coming in at night to sleep by you, then make a little place for him on the floor and let him sleep by you. But if you want to stop that, then we need to come up with a more detailed plan. So, yeah, you can let me know. Okay, Lisa Hall has a 3-month-old, and she says, my son was born at 36 weeks, 5 days, so Lisa, I'm going to refer to him as closer to 2 months because we always adjust for sleep. Even if they're 39 weeks, I always adjust and account for that week, right? So we're going to say I'm going to treat him like a 2-month-old right now. Should I adjust his age and wait until 4 months? Yes, so you're going to do 4 months from your due date. You can start sleep training. I'm so afraid that my son will never learn to sleep on his own. I have felt that way. I promise learning to sleep is a skill that everyone has. It's just a matter of helping him reach down and find those skills. He will occasionally fall asleep eating, but 90% of the time he's rocked to sleep. He goes to sleep around 8 and usually sleeps anywhere from 6 to 10 hour stretches before waking up. Those are great, and it's great that you're rocking him to sleep. That's just fine for a 2-month-old. He usually gets up between 7 and 7:30. He has reflux, so he is sleeping in a rock and play. I know it isn't sleep approved. Great. I'm glad as long as you know what you're doing, it's great. If I try to put him down drowsy but awake, he opens his eyes and just stares at me. That's okay. He may not be ready to go down drowsy but awake. Oh, guys, I'm so sorry. They sound awful. So that's fine. He doesn't need to go down drowsy and awake yet. He's still little. If he can do it, that's fine, but he doesn't have to. The only time he goes to sleep without rocking him to sleep is in the middle of the night, which is great that you don't have to do it in the middle of the night. So this is good. For naps, I am holding him because otherwise he takes short 30-minute naps or less all day, and he may continue that until we can do some sleep training at around 4 months. 30 minutes is a normal nap length for a baby, anywhere from 30 to 90 minutes. So I realize he may still need more sleep, but it's normal for them to only sleep for 30 minutes. So if you can hold him, that's okay right now. I try to put him down when after he's been awake for 1 to 1.5 hours. And that might be on a little bit on the longer side. So you could try putting him to bed a little bit earlier and see if that helps lengthen his naps. He usually sleeps at least an hour if I hold him. That's a great nap length. I recently tried to set him down for naps in his crib, but he wakes up within minutes. His dad doesn't get home until 7:38, and he hasn't napped well. I think he's overtired by the time his dad gets home. Yeah, so at 2 months, they can really go to bed as early as 5 p.m. I'm not saying that you need to put yours to bed at as early as 5 p.m., but you might want to try just gradually moving bedtime up earlier. Definitely closer to 7, I think would be helpful for him. I feel like this does more harm than good. It probably does. I feel like he doesn't know how to go to sleep. I try to make the room dark, but having him invest in blackout curtains, just get tinfoil and painter's tape, and you can make the room dark that way. I'm worried that when we try to sleep train that he's going to cry for certain periods and still not go to sleep. I'm a first-time mom and never expected sleeping to be so difficult. Here's my questions. Okay. what can I do now to give him some self-soothing skills so he can sleep on his own? Nothing. He's not old enough to self-soothe. So what you're doing is exactly what you need to be doing for the next 2 months. And sure, you can try to lay him down and see if he falls asleep. You can let him fuss for a couple minutes. You know, that's not sleep training. That's just fine. But if he doesn't sleep on his own and he does need you, that's perfectly appropriate right now. So he's doing exactly what he needs to do. When 4 months comes, then if you wanted to get like my sleep plan package, it's $3.99 and you get one-on-one. I'll hold your hand, walk you through everything, help. And the reason this is so beneficial, all of my clients tell me, it's having someone that is knowledgeable, that tells them what to do so they don't have to try to make sense of this book and that book and this blog and, you know, what do I do? You get personalized help. But 2, it helps so much having someone there for the anxiety part of it and for the worry part of it and for the, am I doing this right? Is this how it's supposed to work? Is he responding the right way? All of that is just, everyone tells me, it's, you know, the price is worth every penny. You get a personalized sleep plan and 2 weeks of support, plus an in-depth consultation where we look over everything. So sounds like that would be a really good fit for you at 4 months. And if you purchase it now, schedule it now in the month of December, Lisa, you will get a free follow-up valued at $115. So that is a phenomenal deal. And you won't see something like that maybe again until next year at Christmas time. So, but as of right now, you're doing exactly what you need to be doing. So keep it up. You're doing great. Okay, Alyssa. Okay, just a sec, guys. Whew. Okay, Alyssa Moulton. She says, my 26-month-old has suddenly decided she hates her 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. nap and is having a hard time going to bed at night. She wakes up at 7:15, usually naps 1 to 3, and then to bed at 7:30. Is this just a regression or are naps gone forever? How long to cry / go in and soothe would be awesome. Okay, so at 26 months, it could be a nap regression, and it could also be her telling you that she's ready for a little bit less sleep during the day. So 2 weeks is kind of the time. Be super consistent in what you usually do for bedtime and nap time for 2 weeks. And if at the end of 2 weeks she's still resisting, she's still not doing well, then it's time to cut down your daytime sleep. So what that would look like is, you know, changing nap from 1 to 2:30 instead of 1 to 3, you know, or 1 to 2, depending on what you think. You can also move bedtime back as late as 8 p.m. That's fine too. So you have a couple areas where you can do things differently. And no, naps shouldn't be gone till 3. So again, 2 weeks of being consistent, try some interventions, and then be consistent with those interventions for 2 weeks to see how she responds. And then how long to cry or go in and soothe would be awesome. Okay, so I'm assuming she's still in a crib. If it's nap time, I really don't like to do checks during nap time because they just don't have as much melatonin in their bodies. They're not sleeping as well, or as easily. Sorry, not as well. As easily, they don't fall asleep as easily because it's during the day. So I really don't like to do checks. I like to provide books. Like, hey, if you want to look at a book, here's a book. Please lay down and read the book. Or something like that would be more appropriate in my mind than doing checks. And then I would leave her for at least an hour to fall asleep. If she doesn't fall asleep after an hour, you can go get her for naps. Now for bedtime, same thing. I don't like doing checks, especially when they know the bedtime routine. They know that it's time to go to bed. They know that they have to be in their room. Because when you start doing checks, they're going to realize, oh, mom's coming, and it's not going to improve their behavior. It's only going to make their resisting worse. So remember, if they're fussing and crying, it's usually not because they need something. It's just because they don't want to be alone. They don't want to go to sleep. And that's not an option because I'm your parent and I'm going to give you what you need versus what you want. You may want a lot of candy, right? But you need to eat healthy. You may want to never sleep, but I know that you need sleep. So I'm just providing the boundary for them, the time when I put them to bed and leaving them alone in their room to go to sleep. And they get to choose when they decide to wind down and go to sleep. So you could, I did say, you can move bedtime back. If she's resisting bedtime, you may want to move bedtime earlier only because you're giving her the time to wind down that she needs. Okay, so let's go to Jerica Cruz. And you guys, I am getting better at this time thing, so I hope that you're getting the help that you guys need. I'm trying to go through these quickly so we get everyone answered in the 30 minutes that I have. So we're 15 minutes in and I am almost done with the first page. My husband's going to be so proud of me. I'm sorry. Okay, Jerica. Here we go. We moved her. Oh no, Jerica. Your age didn't copy over. That makes me sad. And I am like 400% sure that it should have. Okay, so we moved her to her toddler bed about 2 months ago, and since she has been waking up in the middle of the night, anywhere between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. Yeah, we just did the toddler transition too, and can I just say, oh, it's not always very much fun. Okay, I'm just looking down to see. There you are. If I can find your age, because I didn't copy that over. Oh, 18 months. So you moved 2 months ago. Okay, so she's 16 months. Okay. I think oh, Jerica, you're here and you're telling me 18 months. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being on the ball. I'm sick. That's my excuse today. Anywhere between 2 and 4 a.m. I think she's waking up when she was in her crib only a couple times a week, if that. She only sleeps through the night once or twice a week now. She will sometimes fall back asleep herself after 5 minutes or so. Other times she'll cry longer, but my husband usually gets frustrated after about 20 minutes and goes and sleeps with her. She doesn't get out of bed when she wakes up, just cries. She wakes for the day around 8 a.m., naps from 1:30 to 3:30, and goes to bed around 9 p.m. Okay, so I would first try moving her bedtime earlier. Try moving it to like 8. And I should say 8 as like the goal. Anytime I say like, oh, move the bedtime earlier, if she's tired enough, yes, you could just try putting her to bed at 8, but you might need to do like 15-minute increments back to 8 o'clock so that it's not just such a go to bed now, even though your body's not used to it. For naps in bed, she has a nightlight, music, and diffuser. I don't love the music. Does the music play all night? Like that's where we get into trouble with music. Because if it doesn't play all night and she's waking up in the middle of the night and she is having a hard time falling back asleep because it's not the same as when she went to sleep. We do bath, brush teeth, and both check her and say goodnight and leave the room. For these 3 weeks, she hasn't laid with her till she falls asleep. She usually cry when we leave the room, but only for about 5 minutes and then falls asleep. Okay, so that's fine. I think you're doing good. I would just encourage your husband not to go in and sleep with her because she's just having a hard time figuring out how to fall back asleep in the middle of the night, and the music might be your culprit because we want it to be exactly the same when she falls asleep as when she wakes up in the middle of the night. So I would, and then also, oh my word, I have too many thoughts running through my head. Night wakings can be a result of going to bed too late, and a 9 p.m. bedtime is pretty late. So again, I try to move that up, and then I guess if you're playing music all night long, but I really don't want my kids to be dependent on music forever to sleep. Like, their spouse is going to be not happy about that. But if you can get a noise machine or something like that, just so that she has the same environment when she goes to sleep as she'll have the rest of the night, those should help. And then I wouldn't have your husband go sleep with her. If he wants to go in and say, hey, how are you doing? Time to lay down. It's time to sleep. You sleep here. I'm going to go sleep in my room and say goodnight again. That's something. But if she's getting someone to sleep in there with her, then she's probably going to continue to wake until he comes in because she knows that he'll come in. Okay, let's go to Bryn. Bryn says that her son has just transitioned to one nap only and he isn't waking up happy like he used to. How long should I let him cry once he wakes up to see if he will fall back asleep? I know since he's sleeping only once now that his nap should be 2 to 3 hours, so if he sleeps for 2 hours, even if he wakes up crying, should I go get him? And he sleeps for less than 2 hours. How long should I wait before I go get him to try and soothe him? So, yes, if he's waking up unhappy, it probably means that he needs a longer nap, but 2 hours or even 1 hour is considered a good nap. So, when my kids at this point in life have had a good nap of at least 1 hour or more, and they wake up crying, I usually don't rush in because what I found is that they're kind of waking up. It's like when you wake up super groggy. Maybe you guys aren't ornery when you wake up. Am I ornery, babe, when I wake up? Yeah, so if you're like me, and like someone wakes you up when you're not ready, and you get kind of ornery, like you just need a minute. You need a minute to wake up all the way. So that's what I let my kids have. I let them have a minute. They're ornery, screaming. Give them 15 minutes. Let them wake up all the way, and then you can come in, and they're a little bit easier to deal with. You don't have to wait longer than that. I mean, you can if you want to give them the time, but you're not necessarily giving them time to fall back asleep. You're just giving them some time to wake up all the way. Brent, if he's not getting if his nap length is about 2 hours and he's just not getting enough sleep, then I would put him to bed earlier at night. He needs more sleep, but it doesn't mean that's going to come from daytime sleep. It could be coming from nighttime sleep. So I don't know what the rest of your schedule looks like, but that's what I would look at, is just putting him to bed a little bit earlier at night. Okay, 2022. Darcy Thorsted. I am awful at names. I'm going to stop. She says, I transitioned my 7-month-old from 3 naps to 2 naps about 3 weeks ago. Hey, great. He usually goes to bed at 7:30 and wakes up between 6 and 7. I usually try to wait till 7 to feed him. I put him down for his first nap at 9:30, and he usually cries for a few minutes and then only naps for about 30 minutes. Okay, so what would I do? I'd probably try and put him to bed a little bit earlier is what I'm thinking. I put him down for his second nap around 1:30, and he will sleep for 2 to 3 hours most days. That's awesome. Is there something I do to even out his sleep between the 2 naps? When he wakes up from his morning nap, he wakes up crying and is pretty grumpy until he goes down for his afternoon nap. So I feel like he does need more morning sleep. I can't really start his morning nap earlier because, you can't really start his morning nap earlier because 3 days a week I have to take my daughter to preschool at 9:20. That would be my recommendation, is to start his nap earlier. And I don't know, even if you do it on those 3 days that you're there, like even 15 minutes earlier can make a difference. That would be my recommendation. You could also try an earlier bedtime, and that may help him wake up more rested and be able to stay awake longer. Not longer than he already is, but be able to stay awake between the 6 to 7 a.m. wake up and the 9:30 nap, so that if you put him to bed earlier, he's getting more sleep at night, he can stay awake longer in the morning, and then you can continue to put him down at 9:30. So those are 2 different things I look at. Also, we sleep trained him for months, so he doesn't sleep with a binky or swaddle or anything. I keep the same routine. Yeah, so that's what I do. Okay, Kelsey, at 2211. She says, I have a 2.5-year-old. And I have comments coming in. Let me see. Oh, Jerica says, perfect, we'll try those things. I figured she's catching on to getting someone to come in when she cries, so I'll be getting him earplugs. Yeah, get him earplugs. Thanks, Leanne. I sleep with earplugs, and sometimes it's so nice now because sometimes my husband wakes up in the night and I don't even hear the kids, and I'm like, wait, what happened? Those are the best nights of my life, because I'll have you know that for the first year of having children, my husband had natural earplugs, and he'd wake up and be like, oh yeah, our son slept so good, huh? And I'm like, he was up 7 times. Like, don't even say that. So I really take a lot of joy in those nights when I don't wake up and he does. Anyway, okay, so Kelsey, I have a 2.5-year-old. We have a consistent bedtime routine, and then I turn on her sound machine and leave her in her crib to fall asleep around 8:30. Lately, she's been taking over an hour to fall asleep. She wakes up at about 7:30 every day and takes a nap around 1:30 for an hour and a half to 2 hours and always falls asleep instantly at nap time. How can I help her fall asleep quicker at night? You can, okay, so this is the same thing as someone we talked about earlier. I think it was at 4:30 with Mandy. You can go back and look at that one, Kelsey, but pretty much she's 2.5. She's going to start making that transition to no nap, and we want to make that gradual. So I would make sure she's up every day by 7 o'clock. I would keep that afternoon nap to an hour and a half. Do that for 2 weeks and see how she does. Now, back what I told Mandy was you have 2 weeks for a nap regression to even itself out on its own. So if it doesn't even out on its own, then these are the things that you can do. Like I said, wake her up at 7, 1.5 hour nap. She falls asleep in her crib around 8:30. Honestly, I think that's kind of late. I might even put her to bed a little bit earlier. Just because 8:30 is late. But if she's getting close to that nap transition, then 8:30 may be fine. Okay. Janaea at 24:37. Janaea says, I'm using Cried Out for my 5-month-old. Nights are great, and he only wakes once to nurse. However, naps have been very difficult. He was a great napper in a swaddle and mama room, taking 2-hour naps and a third catnap. Oh, that sounds lovely. His schedule was wake up 7:30, nap 9 to 11, nap 12:45 to 2:45, nap 4:30 to 5, and bed at between 6:30 and 7. Okay. Since no longer rocking him, unswaddling him, and putting him in his crib, it has been a nightmare. Oh, I'm so sorry, Danae. I chose extinction because I knew that's how you see results quicker. Sadly, this hadn't been the case for us. We started sleep training last week, but had to stop due to overcoming a cold as per my doctor's request. On Saturday night, we started again. I've been following your previous instructions to let him cry to an hour, or if he falls asleep, to cry the remainder of the time to make up an hour. Yes, for naps. Each day seems to cry more than less. He is either refusing naps the whole hour, I try, or taking 20 to 50 minutes max. Okay, so should I be going by wake times or regular nap times of the clock? If he takes a 20-minute nap, he sometimes will wait 3 hours before the next time, even if I moved up the time by half hour or so. It's all still such a guessing game, and wake times because he wakes up from naps tired already. Am I doing this right? Okay, yes. You are doing it right. If he falls asleep, we can't treat that as if it wasn't a nap, because what we're trying to do is get his body into a rhythm of when to sleep and when to be awake. So you may need to adjust his schedule so that, sure, if he's waking up at 7:30, that's great. His first nap can be at 9, but I'd only plan on that nap being an hour, which means your second nap may need to be closer to 12. I plan on that being about an hour, which means your third nap is going to be closer to 3. That's going to be about 30 minutes. And I realize they may not be a full hour, but that's how long he's going to be in his bed. And then, bedtime is going to be closer to 6 p.m. While he's figuring out naps, he's going to have to get most of his sleep at night. Will there be less crying and longer naps soon? I hope so. I'd like to see some progression. Some babies really will do the cat nap of 20 minutes until they are closer to 6 months. I hope not. I hope that's not the case, but sometimes that's how it works. It's hard for me to say because this really is something hard to figure out. There's a lot of things that go into play for it. So, I have questions of, okay, he's only 5 months, so 3 naps should be good, but do we need to increase our wake periods? Or not our wake periods? Do we need to change our nap times because of whatever? So there's a lot of questions that are hard for me that I can't quite narrow down in just a free Q&A, but I'd be happy. You're doing the sleep training on your own, do it yourself, but if you wanted to purchase just a consultation, then we could go over this and come up with a plan and what if scenarios, and I can have you fill out my in-depth questionnaire so I have more information. You are doing it right, but like I said, it could take, we know that he can sleep that long because he was with his sleep aids, but it can take up into the 6 month and transitioning to 2 naps before they really catch on to it again that way. Let me see. He said they're refusing naps the whole hour. I try, or taking 20 to 15 minutes max. Yeah, and if he's taking 15 minutes, that's awesome. That's okay. That's a good sign. The other thing that I would look at is when you put him down to sleep, is he happy or is he sad? He needs to be happy, right? We don't want him to be sad. He might be sad because you're leaving, but is he tired sad? I don't want him to be tired sad. A lot of kids resist naps because they are so overtired. And I know he's overtired because you're saying he's taking a 20-minute nap, and then when I go to put him down again, he's already overtired. So really try with that first nap to get him down before he's overtired so he can fall asleep quickly. And if he takes a short nap, even a short nap can be somewhat restorative, but then we're adjusting his schedule like I gave you earlier so that we're only planning for hour-long naps, so his wake periods aren't quite so long and he won't be quite so overtired. Will there be less crying and longer naps soon? I'd like to see some progression. If you don't see progression on your own in 2 weeks from starting with naps, then I would definitely schedule a consultation. You could also take him to a chiropractor and get adjusted and see. I know that would help, and I do recommend Steve Rochar in Lehigh. I met with him recently and was very impressed with his knowledge and ability to help babies kind of work stuff out. So that's the progression I would go. 2 weeks on your own if it doesn't work. 2 weeks with me if that doesn't work. Then we would look at something else of, well, he was getting something with his aids that he's not getting now, so I wonder if his body's off. Do you have tips on lengthening a nap past one sleep cycle, or will it just slowly happen? I'd like to see all of his naps consistently one sleep cycle, but like I said, he may turn into a 1 hour napper, and that's okay. The 15 minutes is like pretty much like one sleep cycle. So my biggest tips are to, when you put them in bed, even when they wake up from that one sleep cycle, give them enough time to try and fall back asleep. And not even that our goal is always to let them fall back asleep, but just to tell their bodies like, hey, it's not time to wake up yet. So leaving you in a dark room is going to have those melatonin levels work during that time too, so that tomorrow they'll be higher and you could possibly sleep longer. Okay, guys, thank you so much. That's all I have time for today. Our 30 minutes are up. So if your question didn't get answered, please submit them ASAP, and then next week I'll be able to answer those. So thanks for tuning in. Sorry for the earlier hour. I love answering your questions and helping you. Again, if you're interested in working one-on-one with me, send me a message, email me, text me. Let's set up a 15-minute free phone call where we can discuss your concerns, the best sleep plan package for you, and how you can qualify for the Christmas special so you get a follow-up consultation valued at $115. Okay, thanks so much, you guys. Have a wonderful Merry Christmas, and I hope you all enjoy with those that you love most. Bye-bye, guys.